Hello there. You're listening to Shaff Dives You Crazy podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Shaff Dives You Crazy. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with someone I've had the honor of knowing personally over the years, Jean-Claude Monachon. Most people in the dive industry simply know him as JC. If you've been around diving long enough, like me, his name and reputation needs no introduction. JC's journey in diving spans over 4 decades, from running dive centers in the Maldives to holding major leadership roles that helped shape the industry. He spent many years at PADI Europe, including as CEO, and now serves as Vice President of International Business Development and Marketing at Scuba Schools International, or SSI, where he's been instrumental in revolutionizing how diving is taught, experienced, and shared globally. I've had the privilege of meeting JC numerous times, and each conversation has left a lasting impression. His deep passion for diving, his vision, and his unwavering commitment to ocean conservation always stands out. He's also a certified coach, triathlete, and a multilingual educator who embodies the spirit of diving on every level. Welcome to the show, JC.
It's a pleasure. Hello, Shaff.
Long time we haven't met in person, but this is good as well.
Yeah, last time you were spending a lot of time below the water, so
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't get time to talk even that time. Yeah,
yeah, it was okay. It was enjoyable.
yeah. Now the next project is bigger and more endurance required.
Well, okay, you already proved that you can do this, right?
Yeah, let's see, but this time it's a bit tricky, you know, just swimming. I mean, on the DPV, but still,
Okay.
it'll be good.
Yeah.
Hey, you started diving when you were 14 and went pro at 26. So, what initially pulled you into diving?
Oh, well, I have always been, I'm from this generation where you were watching Cousteau movies and things like that. Some people
Yeah.
may not know anymore who Cousteau is, but we had a Sunday an excursion to a Swiss lake called Lac de Joux, which is actually very dark. And I had a friend of the family who is a doctor, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to dive, and do you want to try?" And of course, I did it. It was very dark. I did not see nothing, and by being in the diving industry now, I would say that was all against the safety standards, but we survived.
And that was your first time.
Yeah, that was my first dive, and well, I really liked it. But then, I was in different activities. I was playing ice hockey quite extensively, and I had absolutely no time to dedicate to diving. But I had a dream, and my dream was to once go to the Maldives. And at the age of 25, yeah, actually, at the age of 25, I started to think, okay, I will go there in July 26th, so I need to be a scuba diver. So I tried to do some scuba diving education with the Swiss Federation. And if I would follow what we did at that time, I never had anything to do with diving because we were only swimming. Every week I had to go to swim, not even with a snorkel. So I would say that was not really fantastic. But then I arrived in the Maldives in this July 86, and that was the first experience. I say I want to learn to dive. And yes, within a few days, I become an open water diver.
Wow.
And it was in Rihiveli in the South Malay Atoll, and was a fantastic experience and fantastic memories.
Yeah. And you're still in there? You never stop?
I never stopped. Obviously, I do not dive as much as I did before, but I'm my all I would say dedication is toward scuba diving since basically since 86, I am in the diving industry. So it's a long time. Some people
Yeah.
are not even born that will
Yeah.
probably listen.
You were a triathlete as well, I read.
Yeah, this came a bit later when, because, the story, I went to the Maldives on holiday. I did this course, and then I was hooked. That was July. And in December, 6th of December, so I will never forget that date, I landed in the Maldives again in Rihiveli as a staff member.
Okay.
And I did everything, snorkeling excursions and things like that. And yeah, then I really immediately pursued my career. So when I came back from the Maldives after this experience, it was in 91, more or less, came back to Switzerland. Then it was another friend from PADI, actually, PADI US, that came to visit me, and he said, I'm going to participate in a duathlon, which is um, biking and running. Basically, you run, you bike, and then you run again. And we had a bet, basically, to say, I said to him, I will do the same next year, and he said, you will never do it. And then because it was quite a hard one, it was 10K running, then 150K bicycling, and then again 30K running at the end. I said, I will do it. It was in Switzerland. And
Okay.
well, I did it. I won the bet. And we never raced together. And then, of course, you come into this situation that you have other friends in that. And then, yeah, I entered the triathlon scene, did some Ironmans and crazy stuff. uh, and I will be honest, the part that I hate the most is the swimming part.
Really?
Yes,
Why is that?
because in a triathlon you get really hurt. Everybody jumps above everybody. Some hit you, some open your suit and take your goggles. So I hated that. So
Okay.
and you need to do a lot of training to be good, to be honest.
Do you still train or do you still try to be fit?
Yeah. I still train. Now with the age, you have to add also some force training, which I do not like particularly, but you have to do that because otherwise your muscles are disappearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I train. I continue to train, but so far I've not planned to do any marathon and so on. It will maybe come. I never know.
Yeah. Never say never here.
Yeah.
I mean, after the 50-hour dive, I promised Michelle and the kids I'm not gonna do anything crazy again, and now another thing coming up.
Yeah, I suppose that was the day after, right? Or
No, the
the same day,
same
same
day.
day. Yeah, and then a week later you think, huh,
Yeah,
why not, right? I
yeah.
know
Why
that
not?
feeling. Yeah.
S- you led PADI Europe for many years, and in 2014 the major shift to SSI. So, what triggered that move, and how different is the organizational cultures?
Well, look, I had 20 years of my career dedicated to PADI and PADI Europe. I was leading the company. We had really a very strong team doing a lot also in terms of translations. But then, in 2013, really, it was a major shift when one of the equity firm that acquired PADI decided to basically shut down PADI Nordic and then PADI Europe. And well, I had no choice. I had to basically cancel the contract of 67 people. And I could have stayed, but I decided that would not fit my motivation. I cannot fire 67 people and then say, okay, I have another job and I stay. So I decided to basically to give my demission. So I basically quit the company in 31st of March of 2014 officially. And because I needed to do something, of course, I needed to have a job. I had always very good relationship with the Mares president, with Gerald Skobaniek, and because he cooperated a lot with PADI Europe at that time. And then they invited me to go to Thailand for presenting something about the diving industry, so the state of the diving industry. So I went to Koh Tao. First 2 days I was listening, and then because that was their first official meeting of basically having this distributors or some direct companies being integrated, and it was explained what was the goal of SSI. And well, I listened, I thought, okay, this sounds very much like what we did in PADI Europe before the major shift. Being close to the market, being innovative, trying to find solutions that would support the diving centers and the pros. And they offered me a position, which I then accepted. But I accepted this position as I would say, even though I have the vice president title for international business development, I wanted to keep also the possibility to do other things. So I'm officially, I would say, more a consultant, if you want, even though I work 100%. Um, but I like the fact that they wanted to go digital. It took one more year to go digital 100%. I like the fact also that it was I remember one of my question is how much do I need to travel, and and Gerald Skrobaniek said, well, if you don't want to travel and you don't want to be close to the market, you are not a good fit. So I said, okay, then all good, then we can make the deal, even if sometimes it's hard to travel. But I think that makes the difference, not sitting only in the office and just thinking that you do something good for the industry. You need to be close to the industry. That's my vision, I would say.
I mean, I was one of the first instructors who crossed over to SSI in 2011
No, yeah, okay.
from PADI, yeah, to SSI, and I taught the MNDF, the Marines, and the Special Forces, and everybody was certified on SSI. And something I noticed is like the that quick change from paper manuals to digital in such a short time. Now that was very fast.
Yeah, when we had this discussion about doing that shift, of course, that's a big, I would say, financial risk and positioning risk, and you know how the diving industry is very hard in taking changes. So uh, we basically we said let's do it, and let's keep the books for at least a year. And of course there was a lot of resistance, but the end consumer liked it, so the pressure came from the public liking the digital materials. And basically after 1 year we had to burn these books or give them for free because nobody wanted to have them anymore. So it was the right time to enter in the digital world.
That was really good. There's less clutter in the dive center. The Some dive centers are so small. I mean, the office area or the storage, and you can't always keep all these big stocks of books.
Yeah, yeah. When you enter sometimes a diving center, I remember I went to a diving center in the Maldives, and I saw these piles of material, and they say, we have a problem because we have all these Korean books, but the resort is not working with Koreans anymore. So we don't know what to do. And this was the really one of the arguments with the digitalization. You do not need to carry that stock. You just basically click on the language of your customer at the moment he needs it, and then you basically pay on the usage. So it's also for the diving center a huge saving in that sense.
How is the MySSI app? How is it like? How does people take it? Is it really good? The digital dive log and
Yeah, well, it's really really good. Plus, of course, you have. I mean, when we started in 2015, everybody said, "Oh, we don't have connection, this and that." Today, this is definitely not a subject anymore because you have good connection almost everywhere
Yeah.
in the world. But the added value in the app is very phenomenal. You know, you have your dives that you can log. If the dive center has a QR code, you basically have your dives registered at the right place. Then you can you can write what you see, you can select what you see, and it goes into my dive guide, which is the fastest growing platform, or I would say in the diving industry, which uh, divers talk to divers. So if you want to know if there is a whale shark in November somewhere, you will know it, and it will not be a fake publicity from someone that says we have whale sharks all year long, which is we know it's never possible. So it's really based on what people see and share. So and this platform is already over 12 or 13 millions now. So it's really phenomenal.
Wow. That's really interesting to hear. What mindset does a traditional industry, like all this old thinking is there, right? Still in the industry. So, what mindset does a traditional industry like diving need to successfully embrace into digital transformation?
I would say that they have embraced the digital transformation. But as you know, the diving industry is aging, especially in the US, in Europe, in Australia, Japan. And there is a big shift when you see what happens in Asia. I have the luxury to go a lot to Asia because it's one of the regions that I basically supervise and work with. And you have a difference in let's say the participants in the diving industry, but also the professionals, which is way lower than what we see in Europe, for example. So the average age of professionals in Asia is around 30, 35 years old. More women in the sport, and of course the participants are now also more locals, but you still have the tourists, of course. So COVID changed a little bit this picture.
Okay.
But what makes a big difference is that um, in Asia there is a big shift about sustainability and the environmental approach. So this is what triggers young generation to enter the sport, and this is something that is really still not at that level in, let's say, in Europe, Australia, or wherever else. Even though the people, a Swiss person will go to, I don't know, Thailand, and will choose a center that is sustainable or doing something for the environment. And you have still very few centers in Europe or US that really realize that. So it's a long and hard, I would say, time to shift their mindset in that perspective. They leave a lot of money on the table, to be honest.
I would ask you a question about leadership. So, being in PADI for almost 20 years, how did that shape your leadership approach in SSI?
Look, I had the luck that within PADI Europe, I had two bosses. One of them was Jacques Lavanchi, the second one was Hugh Bailey. They were visionaries. Jacques Lavanchi was really a visionary, and they also uh, constantly said we need to invest time and money to learn new things, not coming from the diving industry. So they sent me to constantly to management courses, and I had even the luxury to have a personal coach for 2 3 years, which was not coming from the diving industry. So I learned a lot from that. And I would say, obviously, I use this way of communication and knowledge. I share it with my colleagues and let's say all the centers in the SSI world. I think this is. I learned to that you have to invest 1 hour a day for your continuing education, no matter what. And I do that. And this means that gives you the opportunity to always be a little bit above what somebody who is not investing that time would know, no matter which subject.
And like you manage dive operations across different markets, various markets, from Maldives to Europe
Mhm.
to Asia Pacific. What's your formula for adapting business strategy across regions?
I think the first of all you need to listen what is their maybe their pain points. Where do they struggle in the operation? And then you can bring solution without being arrogant. I have the luxury to say that SSI can provide really fantastic tools and administrative support and state of the art education system. Of course, at the very beginning, it was also a pricing structure. SSI is cheaper because we want to give more margin to the centers. But today, I think the main message, and this is why a center would join SSI, for example, is because they get a very good customer service. Um, so, if you use modern tools today, you can answer anything within 5 minutes. But if you stick to, let's say, oh, it has to be an email, then maybe you wait for a long time because people have floods with emails and so on. So, using modern tools like WhatsApp or Line in different countries or whatever it's needed, or WeChat in China, then makes a big difference.
Okay. So is there a difficult market that is for you like to get into or to manage?
It's not me managing that market, but I would say the UK is a market that is very difficult. Is suffering from anything you can have, the recession, whatever you hear, the legal aspect and so on. So UK is very special. It's more
Okay.
difficult.
I didn't know that. And
Uh,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was a leading market in the diving industry, but then they made some moves from, let's say, the government sponsoring courses at any level, so it decreased the value of the course, the prices went down. So to change that again and to give the real value for what you learn takes time. Otherwise, I would say I do not see a market that is particularly difficult. You need to adapt. That's maybe one of the key approach. Is not to say, okay, SSI is more a European company with, let's say, headquarter also in US, whatever, and we do not go and say you need to follow our way. And this is what
Yeah.
PADI does actually. You need to follow what they say. Our approach is to say, okay, what can we make to make your life easier? Uh, China is a very good example. I went there. That was my question. You use different tools, you use different means. So the application is connected, but is not the same than in the rest of the world. We use WeChat, we use that directly to connect with the system. So that's responding to their way of life. I would say that make a big difference.
And which area has the biggest SSI market? Europe, Asia, or the US? Center wise.
Definitely, I would say Europe is SSI is leading the market, maybe with the exception of the UK, but the rest is really like that center wise. In Asia, I would say we would have to go country by country, but in many places we have, let's say, at least 50% market share, and it's growing by the day, basically. Um, Maybe I would say Australia. We still need uh, to change a little bit the mindset also of the people. It's a very old fashioned market, and it's not so easy, I would say. Uh, and they face other problems than changing the organization. But US, we are moving very fast as well. So I would say, all in all, we are in the way of having, let's say, a 50% market share in many countries, when not above. But Europe is definitely above that average.
Okay. Even in Maldives, I'm seeing a lot of increase in SSI centers, especially the newer ones that are opening up on local islands.
Yes, absolutely true. But the Maldives is a difficult market because you have the local islands, which is a little bit different. Here we are very good positioned, and then you have the resorts, which have, by history, maybe for 3 decades, 4 decades, had PADI, and then some resorts they are not inclined of changing, so it takes more time. And I think um, we made also some mistakes in our approach. You need to be very neutral in the Maldives, because everyone, especially in the expat community, they have maybe had some fights, some discussions with others,
Yeah.
some jealousy. And I think our approach today is more neutral. Um, the manager of the Maldives is a Spanish guy, and he follows what we have basically decided since a few years. So basically, to work directly from headquarter. We still have a partner in the Maldives, but we want to be very responsive in the service, which was probably one of the problem we had before.
Yeah, I remember because I had one of the centers. So
Yeah, and that should not be.
yeah, that should not be how it. So SSI emphasizes strong local presence through over 50 service centers. So why is this local approach so critical even in a digital first world?
Well, I think the diving industry is a very special industry. We talk people to people, right? If we could absolutely run it from one or two, three places in the world, like our competitors, but it would not be as successful as we are now. Our aim was to be present in any market that is, I would say, relevant, and I would say we have that situation. And you're sitting in the Maldives, you have a question on a Saturday or on a Sunday, you need to
Yeah,
have an answer. In Europe, they would
yeah,
not be working, right? And so you need to have this, I would say, this local approach. Then you need to understand the mentality. You need to understand, maybe in some places, the language. Okay, our guy does not speak Maldives, but he understands the mentality because he has been there for 7 years.
okay.
And then you need to be reachable at hours that Maldivians are working. That's in every country the same. So I would say uh, having the opportunity to be close and understanding the market is a key element of our approach.
I've seen you talk at Dive Expos, and it's really interesting to listen to your talks.
Thank you.
So you've hosted over 2,000 webinars in 5 languages. And what has that taught you about engaging the global audience?
I have always been interested in not only in scuba diving but also marketing. I think this is where I started my career. It was different. It was with paper, newspaper, but I have always been following the development. Now, what triggered that? I remember the boat show in January 2020. I have my colleague from China who is there with us. Her name is Shirley, and she said on the 20th of January, she says, I need to go back to Shanghai, otherwise I will not enter the country. And I asked, why? What happened? Not thinking any further. And she said, well, because of COVID. And at that time, we had very few information about COVID. I say, oh, well, this is something that will disappear. Don't worry. She said, no, 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 no. Then she left. She entered with the last flight to Shanghai, and she said contacted me and she said, okay, I entered probably with the last plane that was allowed to enter China. And now I'm here. And she said, but now what do I do? The centers are closed. We have to stay at home. We don't know what to do. And I said, okay, let's brainstorm a little bit. And I say, look, it's different in China, of course. But I said, use any mean that you can conduct some virtual seminars and give them ideas. So we brainstormed about the ideas, the programs they could do while sitting at home on their sofa. And basically that was the trigger for me to start to think, if these things goes around the world, we need to be prepared. So I had more or less 3 months lead time or 2 months lead time until we were also going into this shutdown. And I was ready. I knew the concept was working in China. So I launched this SSI Digital University, and I started to run webinars and giving them ideas with colleagues, of course, giving them ideas on what they could do, ecology programs, dive master theory, or whatever you could do sitting on your sofa. And you had two type of customers or centers or pros that would do a movement with that. Either they would embrace that and be thinking outside of the box. That was also always the start of my webinars, I would say. And they would do business and they would survive. And you had the others that would put their head in the sand and do nothing.
Okay.
And they really struggled. They struggled to keep the operation alive, to restart after. But that was the key. Doing these webinars, motivating others in other languages that I do not speak to run these webinars. And I would say that saved a lot of businesses. That kept them motivated. I remember I did one of the session was always I would say mindset session.
Yeah.
And I will never forget one of the service center wrote a complaint and said, "What is this? S word? You can or BS word. This is nothing to do. Has nothing to do with the diving, and it will not help. What is he thinking about that?" So I said, "Well, listen, I'm going to do that because it all starts with that, the mindset." And 3 months later, he wrote an email and he said, "I absolutely apologize because I learned a lot and actually you were right." So I did not invent that. I learned it also from some other people.
What happened with COVID? A lot of dive centers shut down, and I know personally a few of my friends whose dive centers shut down, especially in Thailand. And I think being online and getting things done through virtually helped a lot of people, like you said.
Yes, true. And I would say, unfortunately, not everybody was thinking that way. And I feel very sorry still now because for example, we had one center in the Maldives. They sent their staff home, and I remember this staff. They contacted me and they said the center doesn't want us to run the business from abroad, and unfortunately, we could not do anything. But you had pros that understood that situation. They would have done, webinars and selling courses, staying in touch with the customer, and they would have had a lot of success. Even small centers realized that they made a lot of money at the end by doing that. It started again with the change in approach, the mindset, and if everybody that embraced that was able to do more business, sometimes even more than in a normal season.
Okay.
uh, Look, we we have a fantastic industry. A person will go in the water with you. They will know you. They will trust their life to go in the water, right? They trust their
Yeah.
life, and they come back to the surface, to the beach, with a big smile because they survived, but they also enjoyed it. So you have this know, like, and trust factor that is critical in any business. And I would say the diving industry still does not realize that we have something that is very hard to get, to get this know, like, and trust factor with people have the opportunity to use that to their advantage. Any center can use that. Uh, you will not believe that today you have less than 2% of the diving center of this world who are reactivating their database. They don't stay in touch with their customers.
Okay.
They don't think it's important.
I still keep in touch with students that I've certified in 2003.
I'm not surprised. So, if you stay in touch with them and now you say, okay, I have my next challenge and you have some way to participate or be part of,
Yeah,
your community will be following you. Maybe not everybody, but because not everybody is interested in everything, but at least you have a chance to do a lot with people that are already there. And if we talk about finances, this is definitely measured by, let's say, 14% more return on investment by working with your, let's say, database than to acquire a new person.
exactly. And one thing that really made me happy being an instructor was I taught one girl from the UK, her open water diver, when I was on Bandos. I started with junior open water, and then the next year they came back and upgraded her to open water, and then advanced. I did, and then 5 years later, she contacted me and said, "Hey, Shaff, I'm going to be a dive master soon." I was like, "Nice, cool. Where are you doing it?" And she said, "In Kotao." I said, "Cool, go for it." And then she's after about 3 months later, she said, "What do you think? Like if she does the instructor course?" I said, "Go for it. If you can, if you like teaching and being with people all day long and diving, yeah, go for it." And then now she's an instructor. That really made me happy, from junior open water, somebody I train, all the way to advanced, and now she's an instructor.
Yeah.
And she's doing really well.
Yeah, this shows again that when you are a diving instructor, you can impact lives,
Yeah,
and this is really exceptional. And we don't have to discount that.
yeah,
Any, it comes back to also marketing. If you have a dive center, and of course your staff is there, you need to know who is your customer, who is your best customer, who is your audience. And this is again something that dive centers mostly do not know.
yeah,
If you ask something about who is your best customer, who is your ideal customer, they say everybody, which is everybody can dive. But when it comes to promote your center and position yourself versus your competitors, then you need to really be more specific. Uh, and it's really interesting when you work with diving centers and dive center managers and you go a bit deeper. You have so many different things. So, for example, one center in Spain told me, I now that you tell me that, I research, well, our customers are female, so women, mothers, 35 to 45 years old, they don't want to go to the coffee in the morning talking about school, so they come to learn or dive. So that's a specific audience. Another resort said, "Well, it's very funny. This is in the Canary Island. Everybody comes single and goes out in a couple." So, well, she shifted her marketing, and now this is her positioning. So, completely different, but there is room for so many
yeah,
different approaches. Or it can be sharks, whale sharks, whatever.
yeah. Hey, let's talk about the SSI dive programs. So, XSI has expanded far beyond scuba. So, with programs from freediving, mermaid, and lifeguard, also XR. How do you identify and roll out new programs while staying true to the SSI's core?
I think that the core business remain scuba diving, but you have to follow trends as well and see opportunities because some people that go in the water may become scuba divers. It's not only that. I mean, if you would do that, it would not be successful. Um, if you identify that, for example, there is a community that is in the free diving part, then you have to give the opportunity to have state of the art program and provide the same service, but maybe with people understanding this community. So that's a big shift. For example, there are a few instructors, scuba instructors, that will be free diving, mermaid, whatever. But in reality, you are not a scuba diving instructor, and then all of a sudden you want to be free diving instructor and all of that. No, you have chosen to be a scuba instructor. And our approach is like that. It's like a train track. Okay, I'm in this track is scuba diving, but maybe somebody else is a free diver, natural lover, and says, okay, I'm dedicated to free diving. So you have to recognize and respect this community and give them the tools to be successful. So there is maybe 1% that would do both, but it's not even compatible in reality. It's so that's the approach. Mermaid was something different. I was in China, and one guy said, "We should have a mermaid program," and I say, "Well, I don't really see it. I mean, this is something that is not for us. We have something for kids." He said, "No, no, no, you don't get it." And he showed me a column in his office having the speech of Xi Jinping. And he says, "Look, everything which is highlighted is related to the environment."
Okay.
And I say, "What does this have to do with a mermaid?" He says, "Well, my girlfriend, she's an artist. She's uh, doing movies and so on, and she's a mermaid, and she's really having a huge business." And uh, he said, actually, the mermaid would be in the positioning the ambassador of the sea. Okay, started to like the idea, and then we went over some numbers. We brainstormed a little bit, and then I say, okay, I'm convinced. Now I need to convince some others within the company. And of course, I called my colleagues, and the first reaction was, "Yeah, you're completely crazy." uh, and then I say, well, listen, what if we would have 100 centers and 6,000 certification? We did not set a time or timeline or deadline for that. And then my colleague said, yes, okay, we talk. Uh, it was in August 2017, and basically in November we started the first program pilot test in Guangzhou in China with some men and women, which was really interesting. And I realized that they were absolutely passionate. It was physical, also demanding, and they liked it. So, but the results were very, very fast. So, when you talk then that you have more than 30,000 certification per year in the mermaid field, and one of the year was China was leading that. But, when you create 302 instructors in 1 year, then
Yeah.
it's a good profit center, but it's also a source of people that will move eventually to freediving. So that was how the idea was positioned. Lifeguard, uh, that was a program that we launched also. We tested it in Mallorca in Spain. Then it was silent for a while. And then in the Maldives, there was
Yeah.
a
I
request.
remember that. Yeah.
There was a discussion that the law would change and so on. So we basically updated and put the program really at the highest level. We run courses in Thailand for firefighters, for other people, and where it's necessary, it's a good business. But lifeguards are not scuba instructors. Maybe some, but not in general.
And and then the freediving, yeah, it became a big thing. I think was SSI the first one to offer freediving courses?
Yeah, I think from a scuba diving organization, yes, definitely. And I would say there is still a lot of room for improvement. We constantly analyze what we can do better because The challenge is you are a scuba diving person in your mind, in your head, and now you should think completely differently for free diving. And probably is what we did not do, at least not at the beginning. Now we do it. Now we have dedicated people that are free divers that have a different approach in how they can do the customer service, what type of teaching, what type of crossovers, what type of marketing. So this had to be recognized, and I think this makes the difference for us to be much better positioned in this community.
Did you ever think that mermaiding would be so big?
I was believing in
Yeah,
I'm a passionate guy. I have these silly ideas, and then I really stand behind it, and I had the passion that it would be successful. I never thought it would be that successful, and that's really motivating to see that it's successful also in many countries in a different way. We have a center in the center of Milano, in Milan, and
yeah,
the guy told me we do more business with one person that does mermaid than with the scuba diving business. So it's you need to have a passionate person that is selling it,
yeah.
basically.
And it's unbelievable to see how much exposure it's get at dive expos, at ADEX or at Boot, and
Yes, yes,
yeah,
definitely.
at
Uh,
ADEX for for sure at ADEX it's like mermaiding is the thing.
yeah, to an extent that mermaiding was bigger than scuba diving for a while.
Yes, yeah. I think next year's one year also they are putting a lot of mermaiding stuff on.
And look, it brings a different audience, and at the end, all the people that are coming are ocean lovers
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah,
They are interested in the ocean, they are interested in the nature, and or also the performance,
yeah,
the artistic side. So this attracts people that then also discover, oh, there's scuba diving, there's free diving, and then there's always a percentage that will do different activities as well.
yeah. And what about XR courses? What's the future for that? And how is that going?
XR is something that you need to have in an organization because this is really a niche market. It's complicated, as you know. You have so many courses, so many levels, and a lot of ego, I would also say. But you need to have a solid program. Um, so because from a point of view of an organization, you don't want to have people leaving the organization because you do not offer that. And I think this is the approach. It's we have really experts in that as well. If you ask me a question about XR, I have absolutely no clue. It's not my cup of tea, I would say. But there needs to be someone that is understanding this community as well.
Yeah, Adam Wood. He's the guy. He's the guy I ask.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's going in the right direction, and you have to talk the language of technical diver.
yeah. This is funny. You've referred to yourself as a chief executive human and you coach others. So how do you how do empathy and emotional intelligence show up in your leadership style?
Well, this title comes, you know, I told you that I'm very interested in marketing and things like that. So
Yeah.
during COVID, I also used a lot of time to participate in different courses, coaching courses. So I became a coach, certified coach. But when AI came to life, I was probably one of the first participant in a course with a US guy, and he said at the end of this course, you will all be chief executive humans because you will have the human part that will understand, but you will also know what is AI bringing to the plate to facilitate your life. So uh, that's where it's coming from. So
Okay.
look, in a way, to be honest, you are a scuba diving instructor. Every scuba diving instructor can be a coach today in any kind of instance, because you lead people, you take responsibility of people, you use a lot of psychology to have a person that is not comfortable to go in the water, to make them comfortable. All of that can be replicated in any business.
And you believe in imperfect progress. Can you share an example where this idea made all the difference?
I say imperfect action is better than inaction. If look, nothing has to be perfect, and we are in a world that is moving very fast today. So, as a Swiss in mentality, you would say before I post something on social media, it has to be absolutely perfect. If you follow that mindset and this way of life, then the trend has disappeared, right? When you post.
Yeah.
So you have to go over it. You need to, if you do a speech, if you post something, you make yourself, let's say, visual in social media, then you have to also accept that someone will not be, um, um, let's say, accepting what you say or agreeing with you. So you need to go over that. Nothing is personal. You have to accept any opinion, but of course you have to position yourself in a way that the other person have a chance to understand what you want.
Okay. And how do you see dive training agencies playing a stronger role in ocean conservation and climate awareness?
They every diving organization is trying to do the best they can, and I would say there is a lot going into this direction. Uh, but I would also say it's difficult to have the balance between, you need to make a profit for a company, and at the same times you need to do something that is, let's say, uh, not because of the conservation, but you can convey a lot of messages. But it's in the environmental sector, you are basically a non-profit organization. So how can you use your resources? Do you need to gather money, which is very complicated tax-wise in every country, or you just use the power of communication that you have? And this is, for example, what we do with Blue Oceans with SSI. There's no money involved in really a dollar or euro sign with that. So there is a lot of money involved in the resources. But uh, if you get money and you have to spend it for some projects, then of course there is always a big chunk of that money, probably 50% by law in certain countries, that you will use for your administration. Does this really make sense? I think there are other environmental organizations that are well better structured for that when it comes to the money side. Our message has to go in the way that all our divers, professionals, dive centers understand that we play a big role in the blue economy by using, sustainability messages, centers, evaluation, things like that.
That's the SSI has the Blue Oceans program, right?
Yeah, and it's a constant revamp, to be honest.
Is it just a side initiative or is it more into sustainability and the conservation side?
I would say it's not a side initiative. There's a lot of resources involved in that, but it's not a full-time initiative, if you want. It's a melting pot of every part. The marketing, the social media, the training, everything is basically connecting the dots together to make it a viable way of promoting that. And it's a constant evolution.
And I've seen you in the last couple of months, 6 months, and I see you posting a lot about AI and all that. So, do you see a trend that is shaping the future of dive training?
I think that AI is a very good tool to use for let's say a diving center, for example. also for professional could be working too, to get customers, keep customers, use more of the time to get rid of a lot of administrative tasks and do a better marketing. That's how I see it. Because a dive center manager has 6 different jobs at the end of the day. And the last one that he has the time for is marketing, which is actually what he needs to survive. So AI is facilitating that a lot, but it has to be used wisely, and it needs to be as simple as possible.
What about VR, virtual reality?
I have seen people entering in that field, testing it, and it's not anchored in the dive center, or let's say some groups mind. It it it's great, but it's not. The industry is too small for that. I know a guy in Singapore who does that professionally, basically. Uh, he makes his money in a different industry with VR, which I cannot say here, basically. But he stopped with the diving because the cost of producing that is too high, and the centers are not willing to pay for that service. It's not. Maybe it will come, but I think it's too soon.
Any other trends you see would shape the future?
Ah, no, I think I said them all. I mean, VR could be. I know Eurodivers, for example, tested that. They have a very nice VR set and a very good movie. They tested that in on an island. They tested that in a dive show. And actually, the result is that people then are saying, "I would like to do that." They will go in the water, so that's a motivator. So for acquisition tool, that would be good. But you need to have the person that is dedicated to that, and let's say at the diving exhibition, will take every person to say, "Hey, have a look, try it." In a resort where it's more and more difficult to have people contacting, especially in the Maldives, contacting the dive center because you need to have the butler or whoever. That would be a fantastic tool too to be used, but it's expensive.
How can dive centers and instructors stay relevant as the industry continues to evolve? Because I know a lot of, especially in the Maldives, they are just, there's only one way and that's it. And they don't want to deviate or learn more.
Uh, well, COVID changed one thing. Many instructors and professionals, they stopped working because they had to take another job and they didn't want to go back in the resort. And so there is a big shift. There is a huge demand for instructors as well. But I think what is the biggest challenge for, let's say, a resort, especially, is to have people, professionals that are motivated, sharing their passion, and not thinking like a state employee. I would you believe what I will tell you? I mean, an instructor goes back after the center close at 6. He goes back to his room. In the way to the room, he meets 2 customers, and these customers ask questions and so on. And of course, you will answer. The instructor will then contact the dive center manager. Says, "I did extra hours of work. I need to be extra paid, or I have to have an extra day, whatever." That would not have happened before. So there is one issue there. The second thing is that the instructor uh, does not realize the luck that he has to talk to people, and it's a people to people business. So if you go on a donny after the dive, and you will see 2 type of instructor: the one that is sitting at the back smoking a cigarette and being on his mobile phone and not engaging with customers. And you have the other one that will be engaging with customers, having the sparkle in the eyes, sharing and asking questions, sharing in emotions. And this guy or this girl will be a star in the diving center, because people will book more dives, will book more courses, and everybody will be happy. So you have these two type of instructors. And now the latest that I have heard this week, which was really mind blowing me, I like AI, but now you are in the boat, you're on the dory, and I ask you to check the current. And instead of jumping in the water, you ask ChatGPT, how is the current in
Really?
Perukandu? Can you
No.
believe that? I mean, this is what is happening. I
I wouldn't jump in the water. I mean, if I was not a professional diver, I'm just a hobby diver. I wouldn't jump in the water if that's how the guide checks the current.
yeah, well, but this is what how the newest generation is thinking, and this is a threat to the industry because again, this unique opportunity for the dive professional to engage with people from any kind of culture, profession. Imagine when I was in the Maldives, we had no social network. So you would have maybe an address, maybe a phone number, and then, of course, with the years, you lose it. Today, you can connect on social media. You can have their WhatsApp, whatever. Now, imagine you are deciding to go back to, let's say, Europe, and you need to have a job and you have some quality. How many of these people that you met, many bosses, many managers that you could contact, say, hey, I'm available. What do you think? And you gave such a good impression because you gained their trust. They liked you. They liked your style. They saw that you are a leader, that you can take responsibility. This is a gold mine. But
Yeah,
instructors do not realize that.
I can see that happening a lot. I've seen it. And I want to ask you some personal questions before we end. You speak 5 languages, right?
Yeah.
How does it impact the way you connect with your students or communities?
Look, it gives you some more opportunity to connect with people, and even if you don't speak perfectly their language, they appreciate that you take the risk or the way to speak to them and engage. So that helps you to improve your language. It's bounding. It's binding people. It's a connection plus. On the other hand, gives you more work because if you speak more languages, people ask you more.
And being Swiss, what's your comfort meal after a long day underwater or in meetings now?
The meal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love food, right? I try to be very conscious about that and basically low carb, more protein, and vegetables. That's what
No cheese fondue?
well, of course, I love it too. I mean, that's why I have struggled always to keep my weight in a good balance, you know.
What's one thing still that's on your bucket list? Diving or any otherwise?
Diving wise, I have a few places. One of them would be the Ordinskaya cave in Russia.
Okay.
I was very close to do that, and then could not do it. There is also the Baikal Lake in the winter in Russia. Even though I like warm water, but I think this is quite phenomenal. And probably Rajampat is on my list. At the end of the day, I did for the first time this year a safari in the south, in the Maldives.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
Yeah.
I was with my son, and that was just fantastic. So Maldives is. I cannot say I have a bucket list of many destinations because it always comes back that I love the Maldives.
And if you weren't in the dive industry, if you were not a diver, what would your job be? Marketing?
It's too late for that. I'm too old for that. No, I'm marketing. Yeah, I love this aspect. I'm not a salesperson. I love the marketing aspect.
Okay. And one last question. What advice would you give for new dive guides and instructors?
I would say you need to constantly develop yourself, not especially in diving courses. You need to do something that you are passionate about. You don't need to have 10 specialties if you don't like them, but have one that you are absolutely passionate about, and then you will teach it and you will be recognized for that. On outside of, let's say, the diving part, I would definitely recommend every dive professional um, to take some continuing education in marketing, because they have the time to use social media to their advantage, to get a name, to really share something that is just phenomenal. I'm not telling that everybody should become an influencer, because this is a full-time job. But at least connecting with people, staying in touch with your customers, from time to time, sending them a message. I think keeping your network as close as possible to yourself. I think this is a guarantee for any, I would say, uh, difficult situation in the future.
Okay. So, from PADI to SSI and from local dive shops to global transformation, you've shown us that it's not just about breathing underwater, it's about building communities, adapting with courage, and staying human while leading with vision. So, JC, thank you for sharing your journey with us.
Well, thank you, Shaff. It was a pleasure, and I really appreciate the time with you.
It's always a pleasure talking to you, JC. And to everyone listening, if you're in diving, teaching, or dreaming of building something global with your heart, go check out SSI's work, Blue Oceans, and follow JC's journey across the waves. And until next time, keep diving into the ocean and into your own potential.